Hello, and welcome to the Blue Pencil Sessions. This is where we at the Creative Academy take a look at some of your opening pages and give you our thoughts and deep opinions. Sometimes we agree and sometimes we don't. I'm Eileen, and I'm here today with my colleague Donna, and we're having a chance to look at a picture book manuscript by Mary Jane Muir, and it's Annie Lou's Halloween Party. Now, if you've had a chance, go back and look through, because and Crystal and I actually had a chance to look at this earlier, and we had some thoughts. So this is the revised version. So before I taint anything with my second thoughts, I'm interested to hear from you, Donna. Since you haven't seen it before, what worked for you, and was there anything that you bumped on?
All right. I was so delighted. I was smiling as I was reading this story. Mary Jane, you have got, in my opinion, such a great way with, I guess it's alliteration. And your description, I guess I'll start there. Like the whole opening scene where Mary Lou or Annie Lou is flying up and changing the whole setting to turn it into her Halloween party. I loved it. It was beautifully, like it was visual, and I could picture it all happening. So that was that. And in terms of like specifics, if we get down towards the end when they're actually in the party, there were so many phrases that just jumped out at me as delightful. Things like they climbed up to the roof where they sang horrible Halloween songs, which in and of itself is just a lovely thing, but the sounds of it. They howled at the moon until they could hear the haunting cry of distant werewolves. I don't know, it pleased me to read that. With the refreshments that she served. I love these. Annie Lou served refreshments of slug soup with green sour cream and freshly toasted spider sandwiches with black mustard. It's visual, it's visceral, it sounds nice. As a picture book, obviously, I'm imagining that a parent is going to be reading this, or a sibling is going to be reading this to a little kid. And it's so lovely to listen to. Gobbled is a great word for the way they would be eating. So those are the things that I was just delighted with. There's my phone, darn it all. Let's see if that works. And the one thing that the one place where, in terms of the story, that I had a little bump was Big Bill saw food set out on the party table. Sandwiches, I love sandwiches, he snarled. And it was like, oh, wait a minute. He's not saying sandwiches, I love sandwiches. So what I wanted to hear was either have him snarling and then I would read it properly, or maybe take the exclamation marks out, something that would indicate that it's not enthusiasm, it's ah. So that was the only place where I kind of went, oh, that didn't work for me. That's my take.
Well, and I think it's interesting and probably very encouraging for Mary Jane is that the things you loved about it were a lot of the same things that we loved about it when we read the earlier version, which is, I think for someone who was, illustrating a picture book, you can already imagine what these illustrations are going to look like and how fun they're going to be. So the big feedback we had given to Mary Jane last time is that we wanted a conflict in the story. And so I'm excited to see that that's been added in. So here we have Annie Lou prepping her party. She's made everyone wear scary costumes. And that is one place where I made a note where she talks about everyone was showing up in terrifying costumes. I think it might be fun to show what some of them were. Of course, I'm not good at being silly, but then unfortunately, we have her friend Albert shows up, and he fails to show up in a scary costume, so she asks him to leave. And I wondered if we wanted an emotional beat there, like that she feels bad about asking him to leave, or maybe she's angry at him because she thinks he's ruining the party. Then what we have is the bully shows up, our sandwich snarler, and he impressed I did sandwich snarler. I'm trying to pick up on Mary Jane's alliteration there. And he shows up, and then Albert comes back, and it turns out that's the thing that scares away the bully. So for me, one issue that I had a question about, and I know you bumped on this when you first read it too, is I wasn't sure why Big Bull would be afraid of a pink bunny. So nobody else was. So I wasn't sure what that did for him, or why that suddenly made him run away. And then my bigger concern is then I feel like in some ways your story ends. The problem has been solved. And then you just have the remainder of the book, which is basically we're at the 50% mark, is more details about the story. So my suggestion would be to basically move things up, and one, make Annie Lou more of the director. So have her serving refreshments of slug soup and all of these kinds of things. Then have the bully show up and making this big problem for her. Her remembering that Albert was wearing the pink bunny costume, and she happens to know that the bully is afraid of bunnies. She runs and gets Albert, has to convince him to come back to the party. And then by doing so, that saves the day. And that's the end of the book, because it allows Annie Lou to be the one who makes the decision and turns things around, and also keeps the story kind of in order where it's resolved at the end and we see the end of them sort of dealing with the party. So that's my suggestion on that.
That actually works for the one piece that I wanted to raise about the ending for me, which was, in reading the story from the beginning, there are no adults. And in my world that I created from the beginning this was a world where adults weren't. So Annie Lou is doing all the planning. She flies to the moon. She's making like, she doesn't need a mom because she's doing it all herself. So when the mom showed up at the end, I was kind of like, oh, so is this just an imaginary thing that Annie Lou, like the mom took away the magic from the story for me. Because I thought that now Annie Lou was just a normal kid, because now she has a mom putting her to bed. So if it were changed around that way and the mom didn't put her to bed, although I have to say that, you know, the part that Albert put out the moon, that actually, it's so sweet. I loved that part. But yeah, the mom part made me question whether I understood the story properly.
I wonder if we can keep that. And just so Mary Jane's aware, we're just making this up now as we go. But I'm wondering about, he comes back, they save the day. Annie Lou makes sure that Albert has a great time at the rest of the party, and that he stays by to help her clean, and she's getting so tired, she has to fall asleep. And it's like, oh no, I forgot to turn out the moon. And he says something like, I'll take care of it. And then she drifts to sleep as her friend goes out the door. Like, that might be a way to have it, because I also liked that line.
Oh, good. Yeah, so. The fact that she, I was just looking back, there was one other line that I put love on, which was before the guests went home, all the friends, like, they all washed the dishes, swept the floor, and the best part, they tossed leftovers into the compost pile. I don't know why. It's visual, and it's current, and it's social, and I loved it. I love that part.
Well, and I think that's the thing. This story has so many wonderful little lines and details, and you're getting closer, Mary Jane. I 100% convinced.
Yeah. All right.
So everyone else, we want to see your pages, and feel free to resubmit if we've taken a look and you'd like another eye on them. And that's to our blue pencil session. And until then, we'll see you around the Academy. Bye-bye, everybody.